Thank you. Good evening. Tonight's Committee of Adjustment hearing is being held by video conference and live stream video on the town's live stream page at oakville.ca. This is a hearing to consider applications for minor variance and consents held under the authority of the Planning Act. Please keep in mind that the intent of this process is to review the application that is before the committee, listen to the evidence, and then make a decision. This process is not intended to be used to resolve any concerns or disputes that may exist between the town, individuals, or organizations. If a request for a deferral is made and the committee grants such a request, the applicant or authorized agent must contact the Secretary Treasurer to schedule a new hearing date. In order to conduct an effective and efficient electronic hearing, we have adopted the following process. If you are watching the live stream of this hearing on oakville.ca and you wish to speak to an item on the agenda, please call 815-6095. Again, the number is 905-815-6095. The number will also be posted on the screen below the live stream page at oakville.ca. Staff will be standing by to take your call, and you will be asked for your name and number and address and the item that you wish to address. Further instructions will be provided for you to call back to join the video conference, and when the chair of the committee polls for interested parties, please press *6 to unmute yourself. The applicant or agent will be given the opportunity to briefly explain to the committee the basis of their application, answer any questions that may arise. A maximum of 5 minutes will be provided for the presentation. You will need to state your full name and address for the record, and any submissions beyond the 5 minutes will be at the discretion of the committee. All delegations must also state their full name and address for the record. A maximum of 5 minutes will be provided for each presentation. All remarks and questions are to be directed to the chair. Any submissions beyond the 5 minutes will be at the discretion of the committee. The applicant or agent will then be provided with a further 5 minutes to respond to comments made by interested parties and answer any questions from the committee members. If the applicant or agent has any concerns found in staff report, particularly with the proposed conditions, this will be the opportunity for you to advise us. The matter will then be taken into committee for a decision, and this will mark the end of all discussion. Any person desiring a notice of the decision for an application must provide a written request, preferably through email, to the Secretary Treasurer. Written notice of the committee's decision will be mailed no later than 10 days for minor variance and 15 for consent application to the applicant, agent, and any other person who has filed a written request for such notice. The last day of the appeal for the decision to the Ontario Land Tribunal will be noted on the decision. Please note that only the applicant, specified persons, or public bodies may appeal the committee's decision to the Ontario Land Tribunal. In November 2022, Bill 23 legislation, the More Homes Built Faster Act, amended the Planning Act to remove appeal rights for members of the public. If no appeal is received within the prescribed timeframe, the decision of the committee becomes final and binding, and the Secretary Treasurer will then notify the applicant and anyone who has received a copy of the decision through written correspondence. People participating in the hearing are to be courteous to and respectful of the members of the committee, town staff, and any other person participating in this electronic hearing. Tonight's electronic hearing is being video recorded and available for future viewing at oakville.ca. Thank you. And once again, the phone number to call is 905-815-6095. Hey, we have no regrets this evening. Do I have any declarations of pecuniary interests? I see none. Thank you. Madam Secretary Treasurer, I will now be taking requests for deferrals. If anyone in the audience is interested in deferring their application, please raise your hand and the Secretary Treasurer will allow you to speak.
We have one hand up.
Go ahead.
Yes, this is Joe Dome, 133 Torresdale Avenue, agent for the owner.
Hi.
After reading comments on file by staff and neighbors, the owner would like to respectfully request a deferral to allow for revisions to the drawings.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Dome. I do have letters of opposition on hand from Eve and Stephen Taylor. They've requested to attend and speak. Robert and Ethel Grossman and Ken Oden. I urge you to reach out to these neighbors now that you've read their concerns. And if they are in the audience, please note that this matter may be deferred once the committee accepts the request, and that you will be notified when the matter comes before the committee at a later time. Mr. Dome, you'll see the Secretary Treasurer at your earliest convenience, and she'll get you back on the docket at the earliest time possible.
Yes, thank you.
Members, all those who are in favor of deferral. Okay, your matter has been deferred, none opposed.
Thank you very much.
Have a good evening.
You as well.
Anyone else, Madam Secretary Treasurer?
No, Madam Chair, no more hands up.
Okay, very well. We'll start with the first item on our agenda, and that's the consent application B25-01 for 2164 Buckingham Road and 2690 Plymouth Drive. I have Jillian Sparrow as the agent. Good evening, Ms. Sparrow. Go ahead.
Good evening, Madam Chair. My name is Jillian Sparrow, and the address is 12 Jane Street North, Unit 301 in Hamilton.
Your presentation is up. Go ahead.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of committee. My name is Jillian Sparrow, and I'm a planner with MHBC Planning. Tonight, I'm joined by Dana Anderson, a partner with MHBC Planning, and we're here today on behalf of the owners of 2690 Plymouth Drive and 2164 Buckingham Road, located in the town of Oakville. Before you this evening is a technical consent application and two minor variance applications to reinstate the original lot lines, which have merged on title as a result of a shared yard. We've had the chance to review the town's comments and have no concerns and support the recommendation for approval along with recommended conditions. Next slide, please. The subject lands are municipally addressed 2690 Plymouth Drive and 2164 Buckingham Road and are located on the southwest quadrant of Plymouth Drive and Buckingham Road. The purpose of the consent application is purely technical to reinstate the original two lots which have merged on title. 2690 Plymouth Drive, identified as parts 1 through 4, are to be retained. This lot will maintain the existing frontage of 69.14 meters in an area of 0.87 hectares. 2164 Buckingham Road, identified as parts 5 through 7, are to be severed. This lot will also maintain the existing frontage of 7182 meters and an area of 1.73 hectares. These lots are individually serviced and function as separate parcels. Next slide, please. As set out in our planning justification report and the staff report, two variances are required to recognize the existing conditions. 2690 Plymouth Drive requires a minimum width of landscaping for the surface parking area along the interior side lot line to be reduced to 0.9 meters, whereas the zoning bylaw requires a minimum landscape width of 3 meters. The area requiring relief is highlighted in red. Next slide, please. 2164 Buckingham Road requires a minimum landscape width for heavy vehicle parking area along the rear lot line to be reduced to 6 meters, whereas the zoning bylaw requires a minimum landscape width of 7.5 meters. The area requiring relief is also highlighted in red. The proposed consent and associated variances are fully supported by staff. Next slide, please. It is our opinion that the requested application for consent meets the requirements of Section 5124 of the Planning Act and confirms with applicable official plan policies. In addition, the requested variances meet the 4 tests of a minor variance set out under Section 45(1) of the Planning Act, including the proposed variances meet the general intent and purpose of the official plan and zoning bylaw, and the proposed variances are appropriate for the development of the subject lands as they recognize existing conditions that are minor in nature and will not create any undue adverse impacts to adjoining properties. Thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Farrow. Are there any questions or items of clarification of Ms. Farrow at this time? Go ahead, Mr. Dick.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In the, I don't know if it was in the presentation or at least in the information you provided to the original notice, you had a like a site plan, seemed to say on it that was the proposed building. So, and that showed the site as it appears with that south parking lot, a parking area coming right up within a meter of the fence. So that was what was built, and so was that legal non-conforming?
Through you, Madam Chair, correct. This site, as we see it today, is what was approved in the late 1990s. No changes have been made to the site.
Okay, so okay, just a second here then. So it was legal.
Yes,
so
it was legal. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Sorry, through you, Madam Chair. In 2014, the zoning bylaw was revised. A new zoning bylaw came in, and that required the additional landscape requirements on the lot lines for surface parking and heavy vehicle parking.
You didn't seem to mention that in your presentation. I didn't seem to hear that from the planner, so I'm a little bit surprised. The only way I wondered about that is because of the sketch you included. Can I just confirm that? Can I, Madam Chair, could just to one of the planners just confirm that that is the situation? That's correct?
I believe this is Ms. Hajat Saleh's file, so she's on hand. Go ahead, Sarah.
Yeah. Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. Yes, that is correct. The site is legal non-conforming, and further to what Jillian has stated, that the changes to the bylaw in 2004 requires the minor variances. But yes, it is correct.
Can I just ask a question? Did you mention that fact in your report?
I don't. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, planner's report. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Through you, Madam Chair. In the report, it mentioned the zoning bylaw date, not necessarily that it's legal non-conforming. It did mention that there are no changes, no redevelopment. It just reestablishing to the original state.
I would have appreciated it if you had mentioned in there that it was legal non-conforming. I don't think we should be reading between the lines. I have a lot of experience in reading zoning bylaws, but I'm certainly sure that neighbors and everything else would have liked that statement, though I admit they might not understand what that statement means. But anyhow, okay, thank you for all your help.
I will note that for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam
Any
Chair.
other questions or comments? Okay, I see none. There has been no interest in this application, Madam Secretary Treasurer?
No, we're showing no hands, Madam Chair.
Okay, very well. Then let's take the matter into committee and take a motion on the consent. And once we've passed the consent, we'll have to deal with the 2 variances, one after the other. Who would like to get the ball rolling? Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Mr. Towski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll give you the 3 motions. All separately. Madam Chair, I'm satisfied that the severance application meets the requirements of Section 51 of the Planning Act. I'm satisfied that the subdivision is not required in this instance. I would note there was no opposition from the community. And I would make that approval subject to the owner applicant receive final approval of minor variance applications A29 and A30 2025, that the owner applicant submit a digital copy of the reference plan showing the lands to be conveyed together with the registerable legal description of the lands to be conveyed to the Secretary Treasurer prior to the issuance of consent, that the owner applicant submit to the Secretary Treasurer a final certification fee payable to the town of Oakville at the rate prescribed at the time of payment, and that the owner applicant pay all taxes as levied on the property in full.
Very well. Thank you, Mr. Talonsky. Is there a discussion on this recommendation? I see none. All those in support? Okay, the application has been approved, none opposed. Go ahead with the variances.
Thank you, Madam Chair. From CAV 829 of 2025, I would
that's for 2164 Buckingham Road. Yeah.
Yes. I move that the application be approved as applied for, finding that it meets the 4 tests of the Planning Act, noting that this represents an existing condition. I don't believe there'll be any impact from this variance. I'll again note that there is no opposition from the community, and I would make that approval subject to the owner applicant receive final approval of consent application B2501 and minor variance application A30 2025.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Talowski. Is there a discussion on this recommendation? I see none. All those in support? Okay. The application has been approved, none opposed. Now CAV 030 2025 42690 Plymouth Drive.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Similarly, I'll move this application be approved as applied for, finding it meets the 4 tests of the Planning Act, again representing an existing condition with no opposition. I see no impact coming from this variance. I'd make that approval subject to the owner applicant receive final approval of consent application B2501 and that minor variance application B29 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Talowski. If there's no discussion on this recommendation, all those in support? The application has been approved, none opposed. Very well. The application has been complete, all 3 of them. Thank you, Ms. Sparrow.
Thank you for your time.
Okay. Application CAV 035 of 2025 at 411 Seaton Drive. Again, that's CAV 035 of 2025 at 411 Seaton Drive. I have Sharon Kang as the agent, homeowner.
Hello, good evening. Can you hear me?
Good evening. Yes, go ahead.
Hello and good evening, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Sharon Kang, and I will be presenting the file tonight. I am also the owner of the property at 411 Seaton Drive. My residence is 3180 Post Road in Oakville. The design for the construct was completed by Joyce Kareen of Kareen Design, located at 11 Bronte Road, Unit 31 in Oakville. Joyce presented the variances initially on October the 4th, 2022, and the committee approved the variances. The permit has expired and I am reapplying. There are no changes to the initial variances. This is a 2-story dwelling that is being proposed as an infill, seeking 5 variances, a few more than we typically have on a straightforward house like this, that is because this is an irregular lot, and several of the variances result in that alone. We will go through the variances, and if you have questions, I can address them then. Drawing 1. Can we see slide 1? I guess it's up. I don't see it, but it's up.
No, it's not up yet.
Oh, okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Wonderful. So I have the same slide here. So the drawing 1, variance 1, is the variance has to do with the rear window well. Okay, that is basically, sorry, I'll use my picture with no arrows because I can't use that. Right here, this area right here. This has to do with the new bylaw referring to the window well size restriction, and mainly there because side yards are jeopardized by large window well, and there may be issues with drainage, fire safety, etc. This is a rear window facing well that is 4.1 meter by 1.1 meter. Variance 2. This variance has to do with the rear yard setback to dwelling. The rear yard setback to dwelling is 6.82 meters. The lot line is a bit of an angle, so we tapered the building to adjust to that angle, but have the corners projecting beyond the line, and hence reason for this variance. Variance 3. This variance has to do with the front yard setback. The front yard setback to dwelling is 8.43 meters. The front lot line is curved and setback is curved, which pushes back the corner of the building outside of the allowed setback. Slide 2, please. Variance.
That's the front elevation of your home. Is that what you're looking for?
No, it should be this actually. It should be the main floor.
Okay, they're scrolling through it now.
Okay, main floor.
I don't think we have it.
Oh.
No, it doesn't look like we have it with the 5.
I'm so sorry. So sorry about that. Okay, well, I will proceed because I have a time limit. So variance 4, this variance pertains to the workshop and storage area. The garage is a tandem, and this variance is not related to the irregularity of the lot, but we would like extra storage space in the garage and looking for an additional 11 square meter increase in garage floor area. Variance 5, the variance pertains to the study area, which is at the side of the house. The residential floor area increase we are going is a bit higher. The increase mainly attributed to an increase in study space that is off to the side of the house, a total of 12.54 square meters. That is all the variances.
Very well. Thank you, Ms. Kang. Are there any questions of Ms. Kang at this time? Okay, I see none. Very well. Has anyone shown interest in this application, Madam Secretary Treasurer? Madam Secretary Treasurer?
My apologies. We have no hands.
Very well. Okay, we'll take the matter into committee. It's pretty straightforward. Thank you for your presentation. You did very well.
Thank you so much. Have a good evening. Thank you so much.
Hold on. We still have to go through the motion. Who would like to put in a motion? Go ahead, Ms. Price.
After taking into consideration the site visit, the owner's report, the presentation by the owner, the staff report, and the letters of support, there weren't any letters of support. I believe the 4 tests have been met and therefore the variance can be considered minor in nature. I recommend the owner's application be approved subject to the following conditions. The dwelling be constructed in general accordance with the submitted site plan and elevation drawings dated January 14th, 2025. That the approval expires 2 years from the date of the decision if a building permit has not been issued for the proposed construction.
Very well, thank you. Is there a discussion on this recommendation? I see none. All those in support? Okay, the application has been approved. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Have a great, wonderful evening. Thank you so much.
Good night.
Good night.
Application CAV 037 of 2025 at 177 Dorney Road. Again, that's CAV 037 of 2025 at 177 Dorney Road. I have Christian. You're going to have to pronounce your last name for me.
Kende.
Kende. Okay, the H is silent. Good evening. Go ahead.
Good evening. Good evening, committee. We are applying for an increase in the lot coverage area. Currently, what's approved for us by the city is 25%, and we need an increase of 0.49%. So what currently is allowed left is 6.97 or 6.97 square feet, but we need 13 square feet for the cabana that is being built. The cabana has already started to be built, so we are asking for a minor variance after the fact. We did realize there are some concerns from members of the public. A lot of the concerns not being concerning the bylaw or the restriction in the increase of the lot area, but more suited to issues having with the homeowner, which I believe can be properly discussed with the homeowner and does not affect the minor variance that we are applying for, as the general intent and the purpose of the official plan is still being kept, and the minor variance is a minor variance of just 0.49%. A minor variance application has been approved on this lot previously, but that was for an increase in the garage floor area for the lot, which affected the front. It had nothing to do with the coverage area for buildings, which is what we are looking to get amended or get changed this time. Other than that, there are a few concerns that did come up with some of the neighbors around was the height. If we can just go to the next one, the elevation. But there was a concern that the cabana will affect sunlight into the neighboring areas, but that is not the case, as the cabana is just under 9 feet 6 inches, which is not enough to create a shadow, especially with a fence surrounding my client's property. We don't believe that would be an issue. Also, with the minor variance, we are still getting the permit, as there was a concern of the look of the cabana. But as we are getting a permit, we are following and doing everything that's needed to make sure it is safe. And plumbing wise, we're also getting a permit for that to make sure there is no issue construction wise and no issue plumbing or water wise now or in the future. Other than that, thank you very much.
Okay. Mr. Ken, I have a question. From what I can gather, this accessory structure was not accounted for in 2021 or 2023, like on the site plans. So when you say after the fact, you started building but didn't have.
Yes, so the building actually just the home has been built already. The cabana is just an accessory that the homeowner wants to add to the swimming pool that is there at the back. It is to provide a space just to change and a washroom. So that is the reason why it's after the fact. It wasn't proposed initially, hence why we're also getting a building permit showing the drawings and everything that it entails to make it so.
Okay. I'm gonna say it right off the bat. I very much detest people building and then coming back for permission. So I'm going on record saying that that's like one of the things that this committee really hates. You will have to have revisions to your DEPA, like for grading and stormwater management, and you've already mentioned that, but that doesn't excuse the issue. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Kende before I invite the neighbors who've asked to speak? Okay, so there's no questions to Mr. Kende. Madam Secretary Treasurer, there's 5 letters of opposition. Have any of these neighbors shown up to actually address their concerns?
Madam Chair, no, we're not showing any hands.
Okay, well, I will read their names on record so that they know that we've read their concerns and we have taken them into consideration. That's Andrea and Don Newman, George and Suzanne Banakopoulos, Shoneen and Michael Bruder, Ron and Susan Dunn, and an Audrey Farrell. Those are the 5 letters that we have from the neighbors with respect to concerns. If there are no questions to Mr. Kende at this time, okay, Mr. Dick, you have a question?
Oh, sorry, thank you, Madam Chair. I was actually going to ask the question to the town planner, and I just wanted to understand whether there's any regulations with regard to the amount of hard surface. I know in front yards there's sometimes regulations of that in the zoning bylaw. I just didn't know if there's anything like that for this rear yard, because it is a large percent of it is patio and hard surface as opposed to grass.
Yes, through you, Madam Chair, to Member Dickey's question. There are no requirements under the bylaw to have a certain percentage of a rear yard area as soft landscaping or a grass area. However, with that being said, as Chair Sherry mentioned earlier, is it will have to go through a development engineering permit application process. Through that DEPA process, if it's found that there are not suitable swales in order to accommodate stormwater runoff or enough softscaped area to, accommodate a particular rainfall event for stormwater management. At that point in time, Development Engineering Services has the opportunity to refuse the work to be done or will require either significant grade changes for a grading plan or require a percentage of the rear yard to be turned into soft landscaping to remove some of the hard patio. So there are no requirements per se under the bylaw for a soft landscaping requirement, but there are other means through the development engineering permit application process to ensure that there are adequate swales and softscaping for runoff and for stormwater management.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, I see none. Let's take a motion. We'll take the matter into committee. Go ahead, Mr. Talowski. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, if I can, I'll start by addressing for some of the comments made by the neighbors. And some of the items that were raised, we've confirmed with the town staff that despite the fact that the applicant started building without a permit, that now that they're getting a permit, they're going to have to go through the full inspection process and satisfy the town that it's built in accordance with the building code. And sometimes that can mean they're going to have to dig some things up to show the town, but that's the price of going ahead without a permit. I wanted to address the issue that's raised in all the applicants' letters as well about the fact that the applicant didn't follow the rules. Madam Chair, as you're aware, we're mandated 4 tests under the Planning Act to assess an application by, and whether the applicant followed the rules or not is not a 5th test for this committee. And whenever this happens, unfortunately, it happens too often, as you've indicated, the committee will always look at this as if it was coming to us as a first-time full application without consideration of whether it has been built or not, and would we have approved the variance if it were brought before this point in time. And Madam Chair, when I look at this application, I believe it is a minor variance. The applicant's not trying to vary the height of the building, not varying the side yard, rear yard setbacks to the accessory structure. And it's the variance is purely for the lot coverage, which in my estimation is minor in nature and meets the 4 tests of the Planning Act. And Madam Chair, despite the nature of which this has come to us, applying the 4 tests, I believe this is minor. I will recommend that the application be approved as applied for and make that approval conditional on the accessory building being constructed in general accordance with the submitted site plan and elevation drawings, and that the approval expires within 2 years if a building permit has not been issued.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Tusk. Is there a discussion on this recommendation? Go ahead, Mr. Dick.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I went into this backyard today, and I can understand what the neighbors are concerned about. There's like a 2-foot drop of retaining wall at the back, so the fence across the back is I don't know 5 feet high, but then with a 2-foot wall, the cabana, etc., is far above, shall we say, if it's 9 feet high, relative to the neighbor behind, it could be like looking like it's 11 feet high. Now that, I agree, is not a matter under the zoning bylaw, but I wanted to acknowledge that I see what those neighbors are saying, that it's relevant and justifiable for them to complain, but unfortunately it doesn't come under, he complies with the zoning bylaw as it's written. I was surprised at the number of lights, and one of the neighbors mentioned that there's a horde of lights underneath every tree, it seems, around the perimeter, and which surprised me. So I also acknowledge the neighbor's situation there. But again, as Mr. Tulowski said, that's not a matter that we can make judgment on because we're restricted to the 4 tests of the Planning Act. The fact that he's gone for now 4 variances is starting to get up in numbers. But again, if numerically all of these variants were minor, so I think the Committee of Adjustment is limited to what they can say in that regard. I just wanted to add to those few points because I was very concerned about this when I saw it, but I don't see that the regulations that we are imposed upon us, the rules that are imposed upon us to reach our judgment can answer some of the neighbors' concerns. I thank you for that.
Thank you, Mr. Dickey. Actually, you reminded me about one of the other complaints, and that was the noise, the TV level noise. There is a bylaw in terms of noise complaints that the neighbors can take advantage of. Right, Mr. O'Hare? They just have to call the bylaw enforcement with respect to noise.
Yes, through you, Madam Chair, that is correct. So if there are any issues with noise after the prescribed hours, before 7 a.m. up until 10 p.m. at night during the overnight hours, a call to municipal enforcement services can be made, and depending on decibel levels at that point through readings taken, a ticket could be issued.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So we've had all this discussion. The motion before us is to approve the variance as applied for because it does submit under the 4 tests that it is minor in nature. All those in support? Okay, the application has been approved, none opposed.
Thank you very much, committee. Have a good
Have a
night.
good evening.
You too.
Okay. Application CAV 038 of 2025 at 307 Chartwell Road. Again, that's application CAV 038 at 307 Chartwell Road. I have David Carruthers and Alex Blanchard as the, oh, good evening, Mr. Carruthers. Go ahead.
Good evening, Madam Chairman and members of the committee. My name is David Carruthers from Carruthers and Associates, Inc. of 505 York Boulevard in Hamilton. I'm here as the agent on behalf of the owners to ask for approval under subsection 45 of the Planning Act for the 5 variances outlined in the consolidated report. I've read through the planning staff report, which includes the following: the planning staff's no objections to the development, the no objections from the region and various outside agencies. And I've also read development engineering's condition that a site alteration permit will be required if approved. And as part of our application, I provided a justification report on our ideas and the reasoning behind our variances, and I will touch on them as follows. Do the variance meet the 4 tests and intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw? The general purpose and intent of the zoning bylaw is to implement the policies of the OP through specific permissions and regulations. And the subject property is currently zoned low-density residential and permits the construction of a new detached dwelling on the lot. The requested variances seek the relief of variance 1 is the driveway width of 10.58 meters where 9.0 meters is required. The purpose and intent of the driveway regulations is to ensure landscaping on a streetscape is maximized and disruptions to traffic operations is minimized on Chartwell Road. A guiding principle of the proposed design was to permit a built form that preserves the established character of both the subject lands and the surrounding neighborhood. The increased access off Chartwell Road will be through 2 individual driveway widths that are 4.5 meters wide that are consistent with what currently exists on the property. Variance 2 is a garage area of 80.4 meters where a maximum of 56 is required. The zoning intent and limiting of the garage area is to prevent the garage from visually dominating the dwelling facade with multiple doors. In our case, there are no garage doors on the front facade, so there's no impact on the driveway width or the streetscape. The additional internal space will be used for car lift and storage that are appropriate for this type of property and maintains the intent of the bylaw. It's our opinion that there'll be no negative impacts on the adjacent properties due to this requested variance and therefore in minor in nature, in our opinion. Variance 3, the garage projection from 1.54 to 2.6. 1.5 to 2.64. And the intent of regulating the garage projection is to prevent the garage from being a visually dominant feature of the dwelling. And with our proposal, the garage has been carefully designed with access being from the side of the dwelling and utilizes the existing driveway entrance to the property. The front facade of the garage with its window fenestration and green roof are essential part of the home's facade. So with the addition of the exterior stone planters and a covered front porch at various building depths, it will furthermore help mitigate the mass and scale of the garage and not make it a visual dominant feature. So it is our opinion that this is minor in nature. Variance 4 out of 5 is the dwelling depth. The increase from 20 meters to 27.51. The intent of regulating the dwelling depth is to assist in ensuring that an adequate rear yard amenity space is provided and reduce the potential for any adverse impacts such as overlook, privacy loss, and shadowing on neighboring properties from any rear yard projections. It is also intended to control the massing and size of new dwellings in relation to the neighbors. The dwelling, the house porch in itself, has been designed with a depth of 21.67 And the dwelling with the rear covered porch has been designed with a depth of 27.51. Now, while numerically it may appear that our proposal is not keeping with the bylaw, it is important to take the context, size, and uniqueness of this property. The subject property is one of the larger parcels on Chartwell Road with a frontage of 162 feet and a depth of 298 feet. The proposed dwelling has been designed with a 3-car garage facing northwest. And due to this side yard facing garage and rear covered porch, this is why we have the increased dwelling depth. The home has been designed with multiple planters and facade projections. The proposed front facade will furthermore help mitigate any mass and scale concerns by introducing sort of a 1.5-story look from the street that will help minimize the overall presence of Chartwell Road. It is our opinion that the increase in depth for the house and rear covered porch will not have an impact on the neighbors on the rear or the side. The homeowner did speak to the neighbors and they to the left, which would be most impacted, and they did not have any objections. The rear covered porch, which makes up the majority of the variance depth, is also central to the house and property and is situated well away from other homes. Variance 5, the maximum accessory building height of 6.69 where 4 meters is required. The intent of regulating the height of an accessory building is to ensure that it's of appropriate scale and mass and it's subordinate to the principal use of the property. In our case, although numerically the numbers might not seem like a minor departure, given the context of the large property and that the accessory building's height is significantly lower than the main house, we believe it's appropriate for the massing and the development. Again, it's one of the larger parcels along Chartwell Road and provides a substantial rear yard setback and more than required side yard setback. Furthermore, the cabana is orientated in a north-south fashion on the lot, which allows the gable roof peak to slope towards the side neighbor at 317 Chartwell Road. So the maximum height requested at 6.69 is only for a small portion of the cabana and at a much farther distance away than the property than the bylaw requires. And this was done purpose. We do want to have respect for that property, so we pushed it away from more than what's required. With the side yard setback of 5.27 and 6.37, where only 4.2 is required. This increased distance to the side yard, along with the roof orientation and mature tree growth on that property, will alleviate any visual height concerns. The proposed dwelling of the cabana is compatible with the height and massing of the dwelling and making the cabana clearly subordinate to the principal use of the property. Furthermore, it's important to note that there are no stairs in the building, nor any attic storage, with no plans or ability for any type of human habitation in the requested roof increase. So in conclusion, it's my opinion that our variances satisfy the 4 tests of Section 45(1) of the Planning Act, that they are minor in nature and appropriate for the development and use of the lands and maintains the general intent and purpose of the official plan and zoning bylaw. Thank you for listening, and I'm open to any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Very well. Thank you, Mr. Crothers. Are there any questions or items of clarification? Okay, I see none. And no one has called with interest for this application, Madam Secretary Treasurer?
We've had no calls, Madam Chair.
Okay, very well. Then we'll take a motion. Go ahead, Mr. Dickey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Based upon my review of the owner's applications, the site plan and building elevations, my site visit, together with the presentation by the owner's consultant and the planning staff's report, plus having regard to the absence of any objections from the neighbors. I'm satisfied that the variances are minor in nature and conform to the 4 tests of, under the Planning Act. And I put forth a motion that the application as applied for be approved, subject to the conditions that, that the dwelling be constructed in general accordance with the submitted site plan dated January 29th, 2025, and the elevation drawings dated January 15th, 2025, that the approval expires 2 years from the date of the decision if a building permit has not been issued for the proposed construction, and that the previous consent approval, number B 23/01/1610, lapse on April 6, 2025, before a building permit is issued. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dick. Is there a discussion on this recommendation? Okay, I see none. All those in support? Okay, application has been approved, none opposed.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Have a good evening. Application 039 of 2025 at 3525 and 3515 Wycroft Road. Again, that's CV 039 of 2025 at 3525, 3515 Wycroft Road. I have Daryl Bird here as the agent. Okay.
Good evening. Through you, Madam Chair. My name is Daryl Bird. I'm a planner with WSP located at 100 Commerce Valley Drive in Thornhill, Ontario. I'm also joined by my colleague, Kate Martin, also of WSP. I am the authorized agent for this file on behalf of the owners, RRL Burloak Inc. First, I would like to thank the committee for hearing our application this evening and for town staff for working on us with this file. We have reviewed staff's minor variance report and fully support the recommendations and general notes. We have prepared a brief presentation, and if the committee is okay, I would like to pass it over to my colleague, Kate, to take you through.
Yes, go ahead. Is Kate on right now?
I believe she should be.
Yes. Hi.
Okay,
sorry, everybody. Technical issues. Good evening, members of the committee, Madam Chair. Thank you. My name is Kate. Again, I work with Daryl at WSP, acting as agents on behalf of the applicant for this file. Today, we're here to discuss a minor variance for a proposed Costco development on Wycroft Road. Next slide, please. Next slide. Provide a brief overview of the site. So again, it's on Wycroft Road. The subject site is shown in red there and the little blue box on screen. The subject site is actually located within the existing Riocan Burloak Center, which is bound by South Service Road to the west, Wycroft Road to the south, and then internal to the Riocan Burloak Center, it is bound by the internal drive access aisles on the north and the east. The site is also zoned core commercial C3 with a special provision 259. Next slide, please. So the overall project, we have a site plan application in currently being processed by town staff for development of a proposed Costco warehouse membership club with a gas bar. The main Costco building is oriented towards the southeast corner of the site, and the gas bar is oriented towards the northeast corner of the site, northwest corner of the site. We are providing roughly 1,000 parking spaces, both above grade and underground, or at grade and underground, with multiple accesses into the site. The main accesses being off South Service Road to the west, and then to the underground parking, we have 2 accesses off Wycroft, and then again, there's also internal access from the internal drive aisles in the Riocan Burloak Center. As part of this application, we are requesting relief from the Town of Oakville zoning bylaw for 2 variances, one pertaining to the maximum flankage yard and the second pertaining to main wall proportionality with respect to the flankage yard. Next slide, please. Next slide. So our variances are to section 9.3, table 9.3 of zoning bylaw 2014-014, which speaks to zone provisions for the C3 zone. In particular, we are speaking to the maximum flankage yard provisions. Table 9.3, section 9.3 right now requires that for the first 33% of the length of the main wall of the building, the maximum flankage yard is permitted to be 10 meters. After that, it's 17.5. We are requesting an increase in the maximum flankage yard to 68.32 meters. And the second variance we are requesting is to section 9.4B of the zoning bylaw, which requires that 35% of the length of all main walls oriented towards the flankage lot line be located within the area defined as the minimum and maximum flankage yards. We are requesting to reduce this main wall proportionality provision from 35% to 0. Next slide, please. This is just a render perspective picture showing the flankage yard and the site orientation from the northwest perspective near the gas bar looking into the site. Next slide, please. So as prescribed by Section 45 of the Planning Act, minor variances are required to meet the 4 tests, being that they maintain the intent and purpose of the official plan, general intent of the zoning bylaws maintained, they are desirable and appropriate for the use of the land, and minor in nature. So after a review of town's comments, as Daryl mentioned, we do support those. It is still our opinion that the intent of the official plan is maintained. So in the official plan, it is designated as core commercial, which also permits large-scale commercial uses. It's intended to support commercial uses, which are intended to serve the broader regional community with access to arterial roads and proximity to highways. I will note that in the official plan, there is a provision for the core commercial designation on this site stating that there isn't to be any merchandising stores larger than 9,000 square meters. However, the zoning bylaw, special provision 259, does specifically permit one merchandising store on site to exceed that GFA requirement with no maximum, and our proposed Costco development meets that provision of the zoning bylaw. So as such, we do feel that the intent of the official plan is maintained. The next is the general intent of the zoning bylaw. So we do feel that the variance will maintain the general intent of the zoning bylaw. The variances will facilitate the site's functionality. They also help implement the site layout, and the public realm will be enhanced as a result of the implemented flankage yard. Is the variance desirable? Yes, we do feel that the variance is desirable for the use of the land in question, being that the intent of the area to provide commercial uses is maintained. In addition, the flankage yard is intended to create a desirable relationship between the street and the public realm, and implementing the flankage yard and the retaining wall that's along South Service Road there. We do believe that this will create a desirable and functional use of the property. And is it minor in nature? We do feel that it is a minor in nature. The minor in nature component speaks to a question of fit. And with the change in the maximum flankage yard provisions and the wall proportionality, this will not result in any changes to adjacent land uses. It would also result in maintaining the commercial uses on the property, which maintains the intent of the zoning bylaw and the official plan. And in addition, due to the changes in grade along South Service Road, and the robust landscaping implemented along the proposed retaining wall, the change in the flankage yard will be roughly unnoticeable from the street from pedestrian view. That said, that is all, and I am happy, and Daryl and I are happy to answer any questions or take any comments from members of the committee. So thank you.
Very well. Any questions, items of clarification? Go ahead, Mr. Hardcastle.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was wondering if the applicant could provide a little bit of a rationale or an understanding of why it is that the site design is such that it is so far away from the flankage side. My understanding about a zoning bylaw when it speaks to flankage requirements and proportionality is trying to draw the building closer to, in particular, a situation like this where there are two streets intersecting, bringing the building up there to provide that mass up near the public realm. So it might be helpful to understand if there are any design or site constraints that are influencing the decisions here.
Absolutely, and I can address that one. And possibly if there's a site plan that could be put up. And I think there's one in the presentation that has an aerial that shows the existing commercial shown on that, which I think will be helpful. Yes, perfect. Thank you. Currently, the zoning was very tied to the existing form of the buildings, which were able to flank all four corners with the entrances facing inwards to the site. With a larger retail use, what we have done is definitely move the building where it can be to Wycroft Road. So moving as close as possible to that. There's also significant grade across the site. Hard to see even in Google, but I'd say approximately 20 feet from the northwest corner to the southeast corner. So with that is one of the reasons that we've been able to use that grade to the advantage where we can have underground parking right under the warehouse, which is rare for Costco. And it's a unique site circumstance that allows us to have 1,000 parking spaces, which is what Costco really needs, but while having lush landscaping on the surface area. So we've really tried to make the site as efficient as possible, enhance the landscaping, and used what could be a barrier, being the grade across the site, actually to the advantage in site location. One of the things, if you're looking at this, the aerial, the way the existing buildings are is they are stacked down through that grading, not really something, and you have a parking field that grades down significantly. So what we've done is, essentially raise the site, make it as efficient as possible, and allow for that robust landscaping. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, it's kind of challenging to place a large building on a sloped lot, and I thought it was worthy of highlighting it here a little bit here. So thank you so much for answering that.
Thank you.
Mr. Dickey, you had your hand up.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to confirm the roadway that runs along the top of the property and the roadway that runs along the east side of the property, those aren't public roads. Those are internal roads. Is that like driveways?
Correct. They're internal driveways. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. That's it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any other questions? Okay, I see none. Has anyone called with interest for this application, Madam Secretary Treasurer?
We've had no calls, Madam Chair.
Very well, and we'll take the matter into committee. Who would like to make a motion? Go ahead, Mr. Hardcastle. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Having undertaken my site visit, having reviewed the materials, including the written staff report and the drawing materials, as well as having heard the presentations of the applicants, I'm satisfied that the requested variances conform to the four tests of the Act. And I'll put forward a motion of approval, finding subject to two conditions, those being that the variances be permitted in general accordance with the final approved site plan application to the satisfaction of the Director of Planning Services, and that the approval will expire within 2 years of the date of the decision if a permit has not been issued. I would note that there were no members of the public present with respect to this matter.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hardcastle. Is there a discussion on this recommendation? Okay, all those in support? And the chair abstains. Your application has been approved.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the committee for hearing us on this beautiful spring evening. Appreciate
Have a good night.
You too.
Okay, application CAV 040 of 20, no, this one was deferred. Application CAV 141 of 2024. This was deferred from February the 19th of 2025 at 1178 Wood Place. Again, this is CAV 141 of 2024 at 1178 Wood Place. I have Mr. Bansal here as the agent.
Madam Chair, I'm trying to move Emrit Pal into the meeting, but I'm having trouble. Just one moment, please.
Good afternoon, committee members and Madam Chair. My name is Errol Bansal. I am the agent for this application.
Go ahead.
We're here with a deferred application. We had an unfortunate situation last time with the sign not being visible. I believe the sign was visible throughout since the deferral, including as of this morning. We're here to seek 3 minor variances after we have revised our design. The variances are an increased garage floor area, whereas the bylaw requires 45 square meters. We're requesting 48.54 square meters. We're asking for a reduction in the rear yard. The required is 7.5. We're asking for 6.55. We're asking also for a reduction in the front yard setback, where the bylaw requires 9.55 meters. We're asking for 7.81. I'll just touch base quickly on the three variances. For number 1, with the floor area of the garage, we're asking for a little bit of space. Our clients do have larger vehicles, and then also require some space to maybe house their recycling bins within the garage, or a tool kit and a tool bench. For the rear yard, we do have an irregular shaped lot. So we've tried to push it as forward as possible, but still maintaining a sufficient front setback. With the front setback, we are more or less aligning with the existing footprint the way it is. On our site plan, we've shown a red outline of the existing footprint, and then the hatched area in orange, which is the proposed. We are aware that there were 2 letters sent in, I believe one of support and one of opposition. And communicating with our neighbor, we understand that the neighbor to the rear of us, backing onto Lee's Lane, had a concern about drainage, and the question about sump pumps and whatnot. We are aware of those. We will be addressing that to make sure that there are no negative impacts on the adjacent properties and contain the water all within our site. If there's any engineering involved to relieve some of the issues that the neighbors have been raised, we will definitely address them, including possibly putting in 2 sump pumps, which today is quite normal. I believe we have support from staff as well. And again, we've made some pretty big efforts here to bring this closer to the zoning bylaw itself without requesting variances. So we've eliminated quite a few from our original application. If there's any questions the committee members have, I'd be happy to answer.
Very well. Thank you. Are there any questions of Mr. Bansal? Go ahead, Mr. Dickey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to clarify, right, you say the front wall of the proposed house is generally set back the same distance as the front wall of the existing house?
Through you, Madam Chair, the proposed front wall is more or less in line with the existing front of the building.
But is there I'm sorry, I didn't have the sketch in front. There's a porch in front of that? So I got lost. What happened there?
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair, there is a porch, and our porch is also more or less in line with the existing.
Okay, then I'm sorry, I've lost my picture here, but anyhow, I'll proceed. Maybe I could ask a question to the town planner just on that aspect. When the variance says the zoning bylaw, the front yard is the existing front yard setback minus 1 meter, but it seems to be, we seem to be saying that the proposed house and the existing house were at the same distance from the front yard. Is that, can you just explain that to me? Oh, I lost.
Yes, through you, Madam Chair. So the requirement for front yard setback is the existing front yard setback to the home that's currently on the lot, plus or minus 1 meter. So the variance requirement is just outside of that 1 meter threshold. So otherwise it wouldn't have required a variance to begin with. So it is more in line with the existing front yard setback as exists currently for this particular application as compared to the original application submitted last year. But the reason that there is the variance is because it is just outside of that 1 meter threshold.
You lost me on that. Are you saying that the existing house was 10.55 meters back and we can make an adjustment because that's allowed in the zoning bylaw for a meter? Therefore, the required setback would have been 9.55. But we're saying the proposed house is at the same distance back as the existing house was. That's where I'm getting confused.
Yes, sorry, through you, Madam Chair. It's more or less in line with also the abutting neighbors as well. So when we're doing our staff report, we were looking at the street line as well and the street wall and the streetscape, and if it's in line with abutting properties as well. Having the existing setback at 10.5 meters, yes, 9.5 would be required. Compared to the first application, where the front yard setback request was 6.04 meters, the 7.81 meters that's currently being requested is an improvement and does represent more. That's what's in line currently. However, there still is that discrepancy of 2.7 meters or so.
Okay, you got me totally confused. Now you're talking about adjacent. I'm just trying to understand when the zoning bylaw, when it says that the existing zoning uses the existing front yard setback and subtracts a meter, I always assume we're talking about the subject property only, and in that case, not talking about the properties next door.
Yes, that's correct.
Now the owner and yourself agree, I understand, that no, the house isn't. This is what got me. The existing house isn't 10.55 meters back from the front yard. It's something other. It's more like the 7.8 meters. This is what I'm getting confused about. What the existing requirement is in this case. Forget about the houses on either side of the property. Just tell me about the subject property. How far back is that existing house? Is it 10.5 or is it more like 7.8?
No, through you, Madam Chair, it's more like 10.5. I don't have the exact site. I don't have the site plan in front of me at the moment, so I don't have the exact measurement. I'm not sure if Mr. Bansal might have that exact measurement at the time being to determine the exact front yard setback currently, but the 9.55 is the minimum required. So the setback currently should be 10.55 as exists currently.
Okay, I can't see how I understand it, but okay, thank you very much. I did my best to try to understand. I think for some reason on my side, I don't see a picture. Is my visual showing up, everybody? You can see the
Yes,
picture?
we see you. See you, Mr. Dickey. Go
Okay,
ahead,
I've
Mr.
lost.
Kalauska.
I can't see you folks, so I apologize. I'm still playing.
Maybe shut it off and turn it on again, maybe? Just
you'll
your
lose me
camera,
for
like,
sure.
no, not your computer. I mean your camera, like press
I
the
see.
camera off and on, reset it, because we see you.
Okay, well that's good. I don't know what's going on. Okay, anyhow, that's fine. Thank you for the answering my questions there.
Go ahead, Mr. Kalauski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think I can help. As I read the plans, the existing house and the proposed house are virtually in the exact same location, with the exception that the proposed house has a covered front porch, and it's the covered front porch, I believe, that is causing the requirement for the front yard. The house itself is in line with the existing house, but the covered front porch appears to be measured on the site plan to the 7.81 meters. I think that's the variance. So the house is in the same spot, but it's got a projecting porch, which is causing variance. That's how I read the plans.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or items of clarification? Okay. Has anyone called with interest, Madam Secretary Treasurer?
We've had no calls and we have
Okay.
no hands at the moment.
Okay, thank you. I do have Ms. Vivian Tonon Clugston's letter on hand, and we've put it in record. I will just make one note. She wanted an answer with respect to two-story homes. Yes, they are, as of right, permitted on all these lots. I understand that people have moved into bungalows and they wish for the landscape and the streetscape to remain as such, but in the time that we live in now, and people need more space, and two-story homes are as of right. With respect to drainage and engineering, and all that will be dealt with within the site plan and operation permit process. Okay, so we'll take the matter into committee. Who would like to move a motion? Go ahead, Ms. Price.
Okay, taking into consideration my site visit, the owner's report, the agent's presentation, and the planning staff's report, as well as the letter of objection, I believe the 4 tests have been met, and therefore the variances can be considered minor in nature. I recommend the owner's application be approved, subject to the following conditions: that the dwelling be constructed in general accordance with the submitted site plan and elevations dated November 13, 2024. That the approval expires 2 years from the date of the decision of the building permit and has not been issued for the proposed construction.
Thank you, Ms. Price. Is there a discussion on this recommendation? I see none. All those in support? Okay, the application has been approved, none opposed.
Thank you very much.
Have a good evening. Application CAV 169, deferred from December the 11th of 2024 at 2114 Hickson Street. Again, that's CAV 169 of 2024, deferred from December 11th, 2024 at 2114 Hickson Street. Good evening, Mr. Van Kulen. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you to fellow committee members, my name is Curtis Van Kulen of Hughes Design Studio. 301 1A Conestoga Drive, Brampton, Ontario. We're here before you tonight with a revised design, seeking 4 variances. If staff could pull up the first page of the submitted supporting documents. As you can see with the size of the site, the positioning of the house is a bit tricky. The shape of the site, obviously, as well, with the concaved property line along Hickson Street, obviously made it a little bit more difficult. So I'm just going to walk you through the variances. Variance number 1, to increase the maximum projection of 1 to 1.8 meters from 1.5 for a below grade entrance. That would be behind, away from, or on the other side of Hickson Street, so the southeast side of the property. Generally, the setback requirements for these below grade stairs are to ensure proper drainage around or beside the staircases, and we have enough clearance in behind the stairwell to the property line to allow for proper drainage and slope and swale to take place. So we feel that this minor variance is indeed minor in nature and doesn't cause any hardship on the neighboring lots. We are seeking a private garage setback variance in variance number 2. And you can see on the site plan, because of the concave nature of the property line along Hickson, the property line really sucks in along that side, and it doesn't allow us much room for what we need in terms of garage and dwelling space. So we are seeking about a 0.7 meter relief to that. We do note that there's ample space after the property line to the sidewalk, and then again from the sidewalk on the boulevard to the street. So this minor request, again, doesn't cause any hardship on the neighborhood and is minor in nature. Variance number 3 is to increase the residential floor area to 44.75. As growing times and growing houses take shape, we're looking for a little bit more space inside the home. We've taken great care to reduce the massing all around the home. And if staff could go to page number 3. With this rendering, you can see that the roof has been pulled down in numerous locations in order to hide the second floor massing. And if staff can go to the last page, I think it is. Second last page, my apologies. Yes, there is an area that is going to be about 1.5 stories within the dwelling. So a bit of a higher raised ceiling, not quite a 2-story volume. We've sucked down the roof shape in there. We've dropped the second floor ceiling in that area and really pushed down that massing so that the 2-story portion is broken up facing the south side of the property, away from opposite side of Hickson. So with the massing reductions, if staff could go back to page 3. So with the massing reductions and covering the roof over top of the second floor and really hiding that massing, we do reduce the impact and mitigate the massing to the neighborhood. And again, we feel that this is minor in nature. The last variance is to reduce the minimum front yard setback from 7.5 meters down to 7.56 meters, or sorry, 7.81 meters down to 7.56 meters. I was looking at the rear yard. So about 0.3 meter change there. And it's slightly, if staff go to the first page, it's slightly due to the fact that towards the abutting street, we have a bit of a projection out there, and it is probably only about 1/3 of the massing along that wall face that does project past that property line setback. So again, we do feel that that's very minimal in nature and the does not cause any hardship on the surrounding neighborhood. So we're very happy to come back with a revised design, meeting and addressing all of staff's concerns. Again, doing our best to go through the list and make sure that we've revised the design, not only to meet the 4 tests, but also to produce something that will look good on the streetscape. Again, if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions or items of clarification? Okay, I see none. Has anyone called with interest for this application, Madam Secretary Treasurer?
We've had no calls, Madam Chair.
Okay, very well. Then we'll take the matter into committee. Who would like to move a motion? Go, Ms. Price.
Okay. Based on my site visit, the owner's report, the agent's presentation, and the planning staff's report, I believe the 4 tests have been met, and therefore the variances can be considered minor in nature. I recommend the owner's application be approved, subject to the following conditions. Number 1, that the dwelling be built in general accordance with the submitted site plan and elevation drawings dated February 3rd, 2025, and that the approval expires 2 years from the date of the decision if a building permit has not been issued for the proposed construction.
Thank you. Is there a discussion on this recommendation? I see none. All those in support? Okay. All those opposed? Okay. The application has been approved.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Application CAV 007 of 2025, deferred from January the 22nd at 1111 Pine Grove Road. Again, that's CAV 007 of 2025 at 1111 Pine Grove Road.
Yes, good evening, Madam Chair and committee members. My name is Syed Ahmed from Lifestyle Sunrooms, and I'm the authorized agent for 1111 Pine Grove Road. The sunroom we are proposing to put the additional at the front of the house, and there's one minor variance on our application. By law, we are required a minimum front distance 10.08 meters. However, we are proposing 8.03 meters as a distance. So that the size of sunroom remains proposed as we propose will be in the drawing. And there is no other question I have. I really appreciate the building and planning reports. All we are hoping to get our application approved tonight. Thank you.
Very well. Thank you, Mr. Ahmed. Are there any questions or items of clarification? Okay, I see none. And no one has called with interest for this application, Madam Secretary Treasurer?
No, Madam Chair. We have had no calls.
Very well. Who would like to move a motion? Go ahead, Mr. Harcastle.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Having undertaken my site visit and having reviewed the materials, including the written staff report, I'm satisfied that the requested variance conforms to the 4 tests of the Act. There will be minimal to no impact on the established neighborhood. I will put forward a motion of approval, subject to 2 conditions. those being that the addition be built in general accordance with the submitted site plan and elevation drawings dated August 26, 2024, and that the approval will expire within 2 years of the date of the decision if a permit has not been issued.
Is there a discussion on this recommendation?
Yes, we do expect.
Oh, no, that's,
I'm sorry, I thought you were asking me. Yeah.
I'm asking the committee members.
Sorry.
Okay, this is the internal discussion of the committee members. Yeah. I see none. All those in support?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay, the application has been approved, none opposed. Have a good night.
thank you. Have a wonderful night as well. Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay. Confirmation of minutes for March the 5th, please, and thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hardcastle. And motion to adjourn. Thank you, Mr. Hardcastle. We are adjourned at 8:30 p.m.